The Chinese government has reportedly detained more than 1 million Muslims in re-education camps. Most of the people who have been arbitrarily detained are Uighur, a predominantly Turkic-speaking ethnic group primarily from China's northwestern region of Xinjiang. More from our experts. Adam Siegel, Cyber Week in Review, November 22, 2019. Elizabeth C. Economy. Game On, the NBA runs afoul of China but scores big. Jerome Allen Cohen. Communist China's painful human rights story. Human rights organizations, UN officials, and many foreign governments are urging China to stop the crackdown. But Chinese officials maintain that what they call vocational training centers do not infringe on Uyghurs' human rights. They have refused to share information about the detention centers, and prevented journalists and foreign investigators from examining them. However, internal Chinese government documents leaked in late 2019 have provided important details on how officials launched and maintained the detention camps. When did mass detentions of Muslims start? More on China. Human rights. Religion. Some 800,000 to 2 million Uyghurs and other Muslims, including ethnic Kazakhs and Uzbeks, have been detained since April 2017. According to experts and government officials outside of the camps, the 11 million Uyghurs living in Xinjiang have continued to suffer from a decades-long crackdown by Chinese authorities. Most people in the camps have never been charged with crimes and have no legal avenues to challenge their detentions. The detainees seem to have been targeted for a variety of reasons, according to media reports, including traveling to or contacting people from any of the 26 countries China considers sensitive, such as Turkey and Afghanistan, attending services at mosques, and sending texts containing Quranic verses. Often, their only crime is being Muslim, human rights groups say, adding that many Uyghurs have been labeled as extremists simply for practicing their religion. Hundreds of camps are located in Xinjiang. Officially known as the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region, the northwestern province has been claimed by China since the Chinese Communist Party (CCP) took power in 1949. Some Uyghurs living there refer to the region as East Turkestan and argue that it ought to be independent from China. Xinjiang takes up 1/6 of China's landmass and borders 8 countries, including Pakistan, Kazakhstan, and Kyrgyzstan. A map showing 27 re-education camps in China's northwestern province of Xinjiang. Experts estimate that Xinjiang re-education efforts started in 2014 and were drastically expanded in 2017. Reuters journalists, observing satellite imagery, found that 39 of the camps almost tripled in size between April 2017 and August 2018. They cover a total area roughly the size of 140 soccer fields. Similarly, analyzing local and national budgets over the past few years, Germany-based Xinjiang expert Adrian Zenz found that construction spending on security-related facilities in Xinjiang increased by 20 billion yuan, around $2.96 billion, in 2017. What is happening in the camps? Information on what actually happens in the camps is limited, but many detainees who have since fled China describe harsh conditions. Detainees are forced to pledge loyalty to the CCP and renounce Islam, they say, as well as sing praises for communism and learn Mandarin. Some reported prison-like conditions, with cameras and microphones monitoring their every move and utterance. Others said they were tortured and subjected to sleep deprivation during interrogations. Women have shared stories of sexual abuse, with some saying they were forced to undergo abortions or have contraceptive devices implanted against their will. Some released detainees contemplated suicide or witnessed others kill themselves. Detention also disrupts families. Children whose parents have been sent to the camps are often forced to stay in state-run orphanages. Uyghur parents living outside of China often face a difficult choice: return home to be with their children and risk detention, or stay abroad, separated from their children and unable to contact them. Why is China detaining Uyghurs in Xinjiang now? Chinese officials are concerned that Uyghurs hold extremist and separatist ideas, and they view the camps as a way of eliminating threats to China's territorial integrity, government, and population. President Xi Jinping warned of the toxicity of religious extremism and advocated for using the tools of dictatorship to eliminate Islamist extremism in a series of secret speeches while visiting Xinjiang in 2014. In the speeches, revealed by the New York Times in November 2019, Xi did not explicitly call for arbitrary detention but laid the groundwork for the crackdown in Xinjiang. Arbitrary detention became widely used by regional officials under Chen Quanguo, Xinjiang's Communist Party secretary, who moved to the province in 2016 after holding a top leadership position in Tibet. Known for increasing the number of police and security checkpoints, as well as state control over Buddhist monasteries in Tibet, Chen has since dramatically intensified security in Xinjiang. He repeatedly called on officials to round up everyone who should be rounded up, according to the New York Times report. In March 2017, Xinjiang's government passed an anti-extremism law that prohibited people from growing long beards and wearing veils in public. It also officially recognized the use of training centers to eliminate extremism. Workers walk along the fence of a likely detention center for Muslims in Xinjiang province. Workers walk along the fence of a likely detention center for Muslims in Xinjiang province on September 4, 2018. Thomas Peter, Reuters share under Xi, the CCP has pushed to sinicize religion, or shape all religions to conform to the officially atheist party's doctrines and the majority Han Chinese society's customs. Though the government recognizes 5 religions, Buddhism, Catholicism, Taoism, Islam, and Protestantism, it has long feared that foreigners could use religious practice to spur separatism. The Chinese government has come to characterize any expression of Islam in Xinjiang as extremist, a reaction to past independence movements and occasional outbursts of violence. The government has blamed terrorist attacks on the East Turkestan Islamic Movement, a separatist group founded by militant Uighurs, in recent decades. Following the 9/11 attacks, the Chinese government started justifying its actions toward Uyghurs as part of the global war on terrorism. It said it would combat what it calls the 3 evils: separatism, religious extremism, and international terrorism, at all costs. In 2009, rioting in Xinjiang's capital, Urumqi, broke out as mostly Uyghur demonstrators protested against state-incentivized Han Chinese migration in the region and widespread economic and cultural discrimination. Nearly 200 people were killed, and experts say it marked a turning point in Beijing's attitude toward Uyghurs. In the eyes of Beijing, all Uyghurs could potentially be terrorists or terrorist sympathizers. During the next few years, authorities blamed Uyghurs for attacks at a local government office, train station, and open-air market, as well as Tiananmen Square in Beijing. The government also feared that thousands of Uyghurs who moved to Syria to fight for various militant groups, including the self-proclaimed Islamic State, after the outbreak of civil war in 2011 would return to China and spark violence. Economic reasons. In part 2 in next video, please subscribe and like.